You were.
Games in 2 years.
I'm a Chiefs fan, so I
Yeah,
do
we're
not
Chiefs.
want to see.
We are Chiefs fans.
What's your energy in that space?
Yeah, I have a friend who lives, that I worked with, I knew him through Sprint.
Okay.
We texted. So, and then we were texting for all of us. Like, okay, this is gonna be crazy. So, and then everybody was.
There you go. How are you? I got it right here. Got it right.
Oh my gosh.
I know, so there's Travis Kelsey. And his
Look at the
brother.
things that happen, you know,
Son of
some.
Philadelphia. Have a podcast.
Wow.
Where?
Yeah, so this was my last
Yeah, so they.
text last night to Chris, so it looks like Mama Kelsey's gonna have to pick her son's game. Or that's fair. So
Well, it's like that. It's, if Ella shows up, we need one more chair.
Jason.
That's who's on American
Be sitting behind a ESPN or.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
He's
he's hilarious.
And
He's super smart, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Hi, how are you?
I don't think Travis still had some.
Another.
Travis had some.
Isn't she out of town?
Yeah.
He's kind of like. growing.
Isn't that what that email
Yeah.
said?
I did.
Well, and he's in there.
Is that one?
Today.
oh,
Yeah.
So.
I got back.
Yeah.
No, that's
I did. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I've done is no back, so.
Welcome back.
So that's gonna be.
Yeah, we usually very like travel this time. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we'll have to go.
great.
Great.
If you drug them enough.
No, you don't. I tried that one more time. He's rough.
He knew a lot. Rocky and whom?
You'll see us there. I think Rachel's supposed to be here.
Well, then we're good.
But I don't know what I'm. One more minute.
It was more just the sarcasm. It was not.
One more minute. I thought she was coming.
Who?
Rachel.
I
Thought
thought
she
she-
responded it.
Yeah, she does have a minute.
Yeah. Well, according to that clock, but not according to my clock.
Oh.
She's on bar time. Well, then know what part time was. People part time, don't you?
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Like bars, you know this, like bars at their clocks, I think. I'm better than it.
Of course.
At least. At least, yeah.
If there is a clock,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be
Some bars.
trying to
don't have
think. I'm not sure.
All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and call meeting to order then. It is 8:31. So, all roll call, Joe.
You was on?
Sue's on.
Dave.
There. That would be better. There. Jody Eubank,
Here.
Matt Bugera,
Here.
Amy Gillard,
Here.
Nikki Law,
Here.
Cora Smith, here. Rocky Baydoun, Rachel Morford, Sarah Eschelbrenner, here. Gail Brown,
Here.
and Ella Ruddy, here. We have a quorum. Right, okay, so I'd like to introduce our new member, Gail Brown. Gail is joining the DDA with lots of retail experience. Oh, good.
Welcome, Gail. Thank you. I'm excited.
Very excited. Did you want to kind of give the board a little background?
Sure. Okay. In my experience, it's interesting because I was working on my master's in history at LSU many years ago, and I needed a part-time mindless job. So I took a part-time job with Dillard's department store, just seasonal. And then I never looked back, never went back to LSU. They offered me a position, and then 35 years later, I stayed in retail, love it. The last 18 years is with Vera Bradley out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. He's a district manager, regional manager, working on both our direct side of the business, which is our own company stores, but with my last 5 years was focusing on independent retailers, which really fits in nicely with downtown Harbor Springs, because independent retailers, that is, you know, people want to shop. I love this, stores with a door, right? That are lined. So I'm excited to bring that experience. I retired in November. Wasn't sure what I was going to do. I've been working out every day, trying to fill my time, and some opportunities came up. So I am here to help however I can and be part of the team.
Thank you.
And she lives in the CBD.
And I live in the CBD, right downtown.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to ask if everybody got a chance to look over the December 14 minutes, and if everything's okay, get a motion made on them to approve those.
Motion to approve those. I'll second.
Anyone? Against?
Oh, look, I don't know if I can because I wasn't here. Whatever.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? All right, that's going to move us into the election of board positions. As you know, Tim resigned from the DDA. He was the chair. So we are now going to be looking at new board positions for this year. And do we have a nomination for president?
I would nominate Jody.
We have a second?
Second. I'll fight.
Any discussion about that? Everyone? Okay. All right, so all in favor? Aye. And Jody, I'm gonna let you take over the rest of the meeting now. Welcome.
We need to elect a vice chair. I nominate Nikki Lott as vice chair. A motion.
Second.
Support. Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
All right, so we have three committees, you know, on the DDA. We have the Promotions Committee, Downtown Enhancement, and Finance Committee. And so we just need to discuss whether currently the Promotions Committee is made up of Nikki, Jody, Amy, and Rachel, and the Downtown Enhancement Committee is made up of Rocky, Cora, Sarah, and then possibly Gail, or we are open to switching around. The Finance Committee is usually just the chair and vice chair and myself, and then Nick. So I guess I'll let you guys have some discussion if you want to switch committees around at all.
I mean, I think if Gail is interested in the downtown enhancement committee, that would be sounds like it would be a really good fit
Oh,
based
great.
on her background.
Mm-hmm.
Independent stores.
And we have, everybody's on one committee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Is everybody happy in the committee that they're on?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then the committees will stay the same. With Gail being added to Enhancement Committee. You know, we need a motion on that.
Moving on to promotions.
Promotions, okay, so promotions committee has been focused on Ice Fest over the last month or so, and the Ice Fest committee, which also includes Kathy Breitner and John Leo. So let's see, we met a week or so ago, and then the plans are really coming together nicely. We made the deposit to Rock on Ice. We have the hotel confirmed with the Best Western. Birchwood is confirmed as this major sponsor for the sleigh rides. We have been approved for the grant from the Petoskey Area Visitors Bureau. We also have a couple other Blizzard sponsors that have come in, and with the Highlands Harbor Fence and Vernales. Also looks like Talasha, Maine and Stafford's will be coming in as Blizzard sponsors, and I think Ours Pass Festival Book and Rocking Horse, depending on where that shakes out. We have been receiving a lot of the sponsor contracts over the last month, so it looks like we've got around 40 sculptures, which is about where we were last year. We have only at this point, I think, 2 of the single block live demos. So we'd like to get those up a little bit and get some more demonstrations. We are looking, I'm hoping to find another sponsor for the dueling chainsaws, but we did discuss that the DDA would be willing to sponsor that, but in our Ice Fest budget, if not. We've begun the social media advertising, and I'm meeting with Diane Hansel to start our radio advertising as well. And then we'll be sending out press releases this week for the newspapers. The only big consideration now is we've done a lot of reaching out to restaurants, and we're just getting a lot of no's back due to staffing and issues like that. So I think we need to,
For the chili cook-off.
for the chili cook-off, we need to make a determination whether we're going to continue to pursue this, because at this point, the only participants I have are the main downtown, New York, Stafford's, Pearson's, Pier, and Paper Station. And then Crow's Nest was saying that they would be willing to, but I don't, we've now heard back from just as many, Petoskey Sands, Harbor Market, Vernales,
Nomad.
Birch Tree, Rodrigo's, Boyne, Nubs, as Nomad, as none of those are able to staff the chili cook-off. So,
Spoon Food was a yes, though. Did
oh,
you-
they were,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes.
So we have
Seven.
seven for yes.
Mhm. And my feeling is last time we had over 300 people come through it, and we had 15, at least 15 participants. And so at least, and I don't feel like 6 or 7 is enough to, but I think
And
that's your call.
And the usual suspects, Petoskey Sands, they surprised me that they didn't have.
Well,
Oh,
their chef is out of town.
Zach's getting married.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
on
okay.
vacation.
Okay.
And Vernales.
And
And Vernales was not able, yeah.
and Harbor Market.
Mhm. And
Scotty
several of
just couldn't
them
do it.
said, we'd love to do it next year, but we can't do it this year. We're out of town, or we've planned trips already. Birch Tree said that, so did Petoskey Sands, and as did Vernales.
Collins too.
Yeah, so,
I would sooner see us, and we talked about this in the meeting, to solidify more sculptures and to place our effort on that. And if we have enough that we can have going on during that part of the day, will break your heart, man.
No.
Yeah, I think that if we put it in our notes that, we reach out almost a few months earlier, just to put it on people's calendar, radar, like when we decide what the weekend is when we reach out to those restaurants and say, hey, this is what we're planning. We just want it to be on your radar.
Yeah, because I mean, we could
Whether we
try,
don't need a yes or a no now, but just so it's on your calendar for something.
we could try to put it out. We put it out in October. We could put it out in September.
yeah.
I don't know if that's better or worse from
I
a
don't know,
restaurant
yeah.
standpoint.
Well, just as a, on the radar, I mean, just
Well,
as a
it
on
might
your
be
calendar,
mad,
kind of thing,
yeah.
not necessarily a yes or no, or give us an answer, but
Yeah.
just so people are aware that
Because we
we
said,
would like to do it.
Well, and this year, we haven't had it for the last couple of years because of COVID and all of that, so I'm not sure many of the chefs or restaurants even knew that it was gonna be happening, so hopefully now that it's on people's radar that it's coming back, maybe they'll think about it. I mean, it is always the second weekend in February. So it's pretty easy for us to decide, that we're going to.
And in the past, we were able to have it. At one point that I know of, at least 4 or 5 amateurs, which added to the.
did we have that many?
The last one we only had
At one point,
one.
when it was at the pier, we
Oh.
had like Mary Cummings and.
So I was gonna say, since we did, it, I think the most.
The
we ever
Retta
had was
wasn't
2.
even just, yeah. What does the rest of you think? Don't you think we need at least 12?
You don't have
at
enough,
least?
I don't feel like it's a
Right.
good, I mean, you don't wanna not have. Well, I
I
just.
really
think
wouldn't
we
even
put-
get by with 10.
Yeah,
I mean, you run out, that's whatever, but.
I think it's still gonna put pressure on, I
Right.
mean,
well, the
if
amount
Matt
that,
and I knew that there was only 10. The 300 people are coming in, so a lot of chili to make.
Well, I mean, I think that. I don't know, you're not giving away full bowls of chili, because no one's gonna try 10 full bowls of chili.
No, and in the past, they were just small cups, but we had enough vendors there that was plenty for people to consider to be, to be a lunch. I'm not sure with 6, 7. That's,
Well, if you're cutting it in half, they're usually about 3-ounce portions. Because they're 4-ounce squat cups, so.
and I just think people want to try a lot more, too, but that's,
Technically, if everybody wanted to try everything, you'd need 900 ounces, which would be 7.5 gallons. 7 gallons, am I close? Somewhere.
Too early to do math.
That would be,
We'll do trust you.
that would be a lot.
I recommend we postpone it and try again next year.
That was kind of the recommendation of.
Yes, and then get it on
Yes.
the calendar, try to get it on people's calendars, let's say,
I think if staffing and costs for the restaurants and stuff come down, hopefully by next year, maybe that will be a little bit more of an incentive also, but I think it's a big ask too for restaurants this year as well.
Is
tried.
anybody in the room willing to do a interactive sculpture?
it only goes up from, I know you all, but, it takes you from 425 to 550.
To do a live demo.
Do a live demo.
Well, there is the interactive stuff that's in the park too, that's an option, but that's way more expensive.
So the interactive, we're gonna have cornhole, a nice cornhole.
Ring toss.
And a ring toss.
Right?
In ring toss. We will have something that Harbor Funds, we have not determined yet what they're going to sponsor. They kind of gave us an open-ended lizard sponsorship, which was great. But they said, you guys pick and do something that the kids are gonna like, which was really nice. We'll have the ice thrown back. Vernally's is sponsoring that. And then, we will have the dueling chainsaw. So it just would be nice to have some more live demos. And there are a number of people who have typically gotten sculptures in the past that I have not heard back from, there's definitely a handful of those that I think will come in here in the last month. We should have plenty. All right, so,
We already have enough to make our budget.
oh
You
yeah,
know, we went up in price, but so did our price of the sculptures.
I guess just going back to the chili cook-off. We make a motion as to whether
Do we need a motion for that?
I think Amy made.
she made a recommendation.
I would make a motion that we wait until next year.
If we need a motion, I'll second.
All in favor of that decision?
You're the new president.
All right, just briefly going on to downtown enhancement. We have not met because since after the new year, since we have been so busy with the Ice Fest. But we're just gonna continue to make progress on the Merchants Walkway, submitting all of the elements that we have gathered through the survey and through the committee meetings with Vanessa at OHM, and work to develop a plan, and then we'll start, getting all that in line for the spring, but hopefully we can start building on that. Any questions or thoughts?
So put that on your street music calendar. That'll be in the Merchants Walk.
Did you see that just did? I went like
I
that.
don't, yeah, I mean, I don't think we can have much of a discussion until we get some of the information back.
Yeah, we'll start getting
Between
close
us
and.
Margot, do you remember how much we budgeted for that?
We budgeted 50,000, but we said that the initial 20 was going to come from 20 was coming from our yearly budget, and then 30 was either going to come from our reserve or any fundraising that can be done for it.
And the surveys. How much did the surveys cost us? Sure.
Oh, we paid those prices, or for the benchmark. I would have to go back and look. We can probably see it on our year to date from December, but it's been between that and the attorney's fees dealt with that space. We've definitely spent a few $1,000s on that project so far.
Did we say, we did save in demolition?
We did.
Yeah.
Rocky did that for us, he gave that as a donation to us. And then John Cups gave us the use of his trucks to haul all that stuff away. So the demolition was done. All right. And now Bill left. You leave?
No, his jacket and stuff in there.
Okay.
Here it comes.
There you go.
Since we're about to. All right, so the planning commission asked me to bring up the issue of short-term rentals to the DDA. And Bill, you can kind of clarify this. What I understand is that right now, as we head into 2023, we have 60 licenses granted, short-term rentals granted for the non-residential area, or not the non-rental, non-downtown, the single-family area. And then unlimited licenses within the central business district downtown. Is that
Close.
okay?
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm Bill Mulder. I'm the chair of the planning commission this year. And at least until Thursday when we might decide something else. And the reason I'm here today is to give you a quick overview of what's going on with short-term rentals, because this is the third calendar year that we've been doing a deep dive on this, having big community meetings, having all kinds of discussions. Cities all over the world are having the same discussions, really kind of complex and emotional. So I thought it would be helpful if if this group knew the nuances so that you could represent this to any clients or partners or anybody that you run up against. So let me try to give you the basics. People feel strongly about this either way. There's a school of thought that says short-term rentals are essential for the economic health of our community. There's a school of thought that says short-term rentals are the worst thing that could happen to a community because it takes away housing from full-time people. It creates disturbances in neighborhoods, and it's just horrible. And the conclusion that we've come to, and many cities have come to, is that both of those are true. And yet the only way to address it might be some type of a compromise position between residential areas, residential neighborhoods, and kind of our core business area. And so we're pursuing a recommendation that would limit the number of short-term rentals in residential areas so that the no limit in business areas, and there'd be no limit overall. So what this would potentially do is have the effect of shifting the growth of short-term rentals into the, core area and out of the neighborhoods. And council had accepted a recommendation from the planning commission, but didn't like some of the details, so they asked us to take another swing at it. And in the meantime, they put in a moratorium on new short-term rental licenses in neighborhoods until the middle of this year. And we capped that at 60, or they kept it at 61 short-term rental licenses in residential areas, and that's what there is today. And that cap runs through July. Yes.
Could you just define what the neighborhood is? Is our DDA
Yeah.
boundary the downtown and everything else is neighborhood?
It's
or-
not quite that parallel.
Okay,
So the way that this works is based on our zoning districts, and we have about a dozen kinds of zoning in the city. And but the most prevalent is single family residential. And that's where this is primarily banned along there's a little thing called agricultural residential where it's, there's a moratorium as well. So that means there's a business one and there's a business two, and there's a community, and there's some other things. Anyway, the DDA boundary, if I have the picture right, probably has like 3 or 4 different zoning districts within it. And you have residential, plenty of residential in the central business district as well. So none of those would be affected by this moratorium or by any potential limits that might occur in the future in residential areas. And the proposal that we're considering would, in effect, direct the growth of short-term rentals into the business areas, into the downtown areas. Yes, correct.
I have 2 questions. One is, so when you're talking about City of Harbor Springs, are you talking about within city limits for this entire
Yeah,
thing?
of course. That's a great distinction, Cora. It is only the city of Harbor Springs. We have about 1,200 dwelling units in the city of Harbor Springs. 200 of those are in the downtown area, and 1,000 are everywhere else. And so we currently have 61 short-term rentals out of 1,000 in the residential neighborhoods. And in one hand, it doesn't sound like much. On the other hand, people are saying it's extremely disruptive and it's horrible. And we have 30 some in the 200 dwelling units that are in the central area.
Bill, are you, how does it compare to the last 5 years as far as the growth of?
But
this
growth
year?
every year. And yeah, that's what people are concerned about, is it's just going to run away. And city of Sedona just passed 20%. So they feel it's all is lost. They've reached the tipping point. It's wrecked their city completely. This is not some unusual thing that the city of Harbor Springs is considering. The city of Petoskey and Traverse City completely banned short-term rentals in residential neighborhoods. The cities of Charlevoix, Boyne City, and some other near neighbors have placed caps on those. So, and one more thing to consider, because there are really emotional arguments that overlap with you all. That is that any type of limit or ban will destroy the economy of our town. So there are in the 6 townships that surround us and make up Harbor Springs, the zip code and school district, there are almost 7,000 homes. And so we are a tiny subset of the Harbor Springs area. And businesses draw their clients from those 6 townships, as well as over to Bear Creek and Petoskey and everywhere else. So a limit maybe that says, okay, we're not going to have 10 more next year. So does not having 10 more in the little city of Harbor Springs destroy the town's economy? I don't see it.
I do have a question. Has there been any discussion? I mean, you mentioned Charlevoix and you mentioned Petoskey, but all of those cities have hotels. Has there been any mention of, because we don't have any, has there been any mention of like raising that percentage since we only have rentals for people?
Yes, there has been. People are saying, we don't have hotels. That means it's a completely different ballgame. And the neighbors in the residential neighborhood say, you know what? It's not my fault that Harbor Springs doesn't have hotels. it's still wrecking my life. I don't want to raise my kids next to a short-term rental. I don't even know who these people are on a week-to-week basis. And, you know, if there are 6,000 or 7,000 more homes surrounding us, none of the townships are bothered by this. They have bigger distances, less density. So those are wide open to become short-term rentals.
Bill, are the,
Cora,
oh,
let's-
sorry.
Oh, that's right. I, again, two questions. Who rules the townships and then also who monitors the licenses that are in the city?
Yeah, I'm
So-
sorry, what was the?
The first one is who would make rules like this for the townships that are surrounding, which,
Have their own government.
okay,
And
They would be responsible for that.
Supervisor and 3 or 4 board members.
okay,
So they do their own thing. 3 of them have their own zoning, 3 run under county zoning. And then in the city staff hires a company that scans all the 92 rental websites.
okay. So then they go through and make sure that they're licensed.
Yeah, and works to derive, you know, where people are advertising a short-term rental. And then they try to derive where that is on the map, and then within the city of Harbor Springs, then it gets reported to the city. And then the city contacts people who are operating without a license. And
What are the fines or
yeah,
there are fines
there
for?
are, yeah.
Okay.
And that also brings us to the other argument, which is, you know, the behavior of these people in the rental next to me is just killing me. They're having bonfires, they're loud, they're annoying. And Kyle and team work really hard on those, and that you encourage people to call, you know, 911, even though it seems crazy, call 911 if people are bothering them or doing something inappropriate. And so they'll react to it. And we got the complaints down quite a lot from the year before with some other activities that the city engaged in, you know, like be a good neighbor brochure, explaining things like not to leave your trash out and not to be bad. And so now people say, oh, well, we don't have many complaints, so it's problem solved. And that's only less than 50% of the story. The other 50% is people are just beside themselves with worry and concern about the unlimited growth of short-term rentals in their neighborhoods.
And homelessness of people that are my age that are moving out of the area
Right, because they're
because they literally cannot raise their children here, don't have anywhere to live, are on the streets.
short-term
They have
rentals.
no reason that they, you know, they're completely making money and they have nowhere to
Short-term rentals take away housing opportunities from full-time people.
live. Sorry. No, you're very passionate.
Okay, so I guess,
I have one question, I guess I have a question. One, what, as far as the township, surrounding township, are they actively looking to reduce short-term rentals, or are they at this point keeping it unlimited?
no, there's no activity that I know of in any of the 6 townships or even Bear Creek Township flooding us.
Okay.
You know, our homes are denser, they're closer together, you know, our smallest allowed lot is 66 feet wide, and houses can be, you know, 8 and 10 feet apart, and some of our older ones are even closer.
Okay.
And and it's not just Harbor Springs, I mean, literally all over the world, cities are wrestling with this this problem right now and the competing things. So, yeah, Jody.
What's the true definition, I guess, by city standards of what a short-term rental is?
Less than 30 days. So that's the other thing. We've always had seasonal rentals here, right? You know, that could be a month, could be a whole year. There's no impact whatsoever on that. And neighbors are not concerned about seasonal rentals.
On the other hand, people that do buy houses, and if they're gonna be gone because they don't like the chaos during the summer months and they're used to they'd be more likely to buy knowing that they could rent out their house. And I think we need to, our job is to represent, if you will, the CBD and the principal shopping district. And also to promote business as well as the chamber. It would seem to me that with people in the houses rather than just sitting vacant, that we would have more people in our town spending money in our shops and our restaurant.
I think this is
Then-
such a, I mean.
It is.
But I think this is such a complex problem that I don't, there's a couple different parts, like Bill just said, you know, if you take away short-term rentals, okay, that's one part of it, but is that going, and has the crime rate, is it that, how, I would be curious to know what that is versus people that are living there and have visitors. But then the other question is, by doing this, is it gonna lower the housing market to make things affordable? So, or are they just gonna, like, where that's, I guess, I mean, I can see all sides, and I've had clients that have messaged me asking me if I was on the boards of any of this and I've asked Margot a few times trying to figure out like what to say, but I think it's just I don't think that there is a perfect answer for,
And if there's
Any of
nowhere for
this.
anyone to live to work, that works downtown, especially, I mean,
yeah,
what's the percentage of people in Emmett County that don't have a driver's license that want to work?
well, yeah,
They can't, live in Cross Village and can't come work at the pier
yeah. no,
and
that's-
serve these people that are coming. So that's a whole nother issue.
It's complex, it's niche, and so that's, planning commission has been, really going deep on this for the last 3 years. We're doing it again Thursday night. So if you have any, buddy who's interested, they can attend Thursday night and give their input. And, council is gonna get it next. Council is the ultimate decision maker. So planning commission will give a recommendation. Council could accept it, modify it, or, dismiss it. So, we don't know what's gonna happen. And, but it is complex, it's interesting. I think we've arrived at a pretty good compromise. And, there has to be a balance. Short-term rentals have great benefits for the community, and they have costs. And unfortunately, the neighbors are the ones who end up paying a lot of the costs. So,
Can you share what the compromise is?
well,
at
the
this point?
compromise would be to limit the number in residential neighborhoods.
To 40 or 61?
Planning commission recommended 40 last time. Council said that was too low and that they couldn't support that, so they kicked it back to us. And they also didn't like the selection process that we came up with, a scoring system, so we're going to examine a different approach to allocate licenses if that's what. But the thing to remember is, under this proposal, the total number is not capped. It's just the subset in the residential area. The total number can actually grow and, based on the market, it may very well do that. And, or it could reduce. So, yeah.
Just the reason it was 61 was a limit is because that's how many current licenses we had. So if you wonder why else we came up with 61, I think council decided that we wouldn't retract any licenses away from somebody who currently had them. So that's why you wonder why 61, because that's how many licenses it currently had in the residential area.
Yes, Ken.
I had possibly the first vacation rental in town in the CBD more than 20 years ago. And just worked that way that we did it. I always kept mine weekly only, which in time, probably 10 years after we started the city, looked at a 7-day. Except enforcement is impossible on that. I understand at that time, there might be 5 of us when there was a 7-day. But for me, I only had to flip it once a week versus every couple of days. Kept the wedding celebrators out, who I know have been problems in some areas. But having a place in the CBD, and I did the cleaning every Saturday, I know how much they spent downtown. I saw the receipts. It's a lot.
Yes.
So that, but my people could walk, and maybe if someone living elsewhere in town, they don't come. But the CBD, you have somewhat separated from this process. So within the space in the CBD to add more rentals. So we're probably close to that 30, and we'll stay there. They're both sides, and the other side for us is 6 sets of our guests have now purchased full-time homes in Harbor Springs.
Yeah.
So, there are other benefits that happen from the bad sides.
Do you have any indication of the short-term rentals, who actually is a current resident who owns the property and uses it as income generating? And who are people that own the property but live here and never really participate in the
There's
community?
a complete mix and.
Yeah, just wondered if you knew
The
that.
application process, you have to put your address.
Right.
You also have to have a local agent within a certain area to manage the thing. Some owners live right next door.
Yeah.
To their rentals.
Right.
Some owners, live in Shaker Heights. So
Right, yeah.
some owners are professional investors.
That's what I was wondering about, yeah. Which are the people that you really,
Are those?
they don't care about your
considered being
community, they.
limited? I know that other communities have limited the amount of short-term rentals that one company or business can own. I mean, now there are ways around that, obviously by putting under subsidiary things. But I know that's one thing that a lot of communities that I've heard of have tried to limit as far as, okay, you cannot own more than two or something.
We haven't gone there, yet. We're trying to just get the basic structure in place that will make sense for the community. Let that run for a couple of years and see how it goes.
What, I guess, I know you reached out to me, what would you like from the DDA? One thing that I thought of that we could do, that I'd be happy to do if that's beneficial to you in some way, is to put out a survey to the downtown businesses asking, getting some sort of opinion, getting like from the
Number
DDA.
one thing is what we've already done today, just for you to be aware of it and to understand the two big nuances, and that is the distinction between the residential areas and the business area. And then two, the fact that when there's only a cap considered in this one area and it's unlimited in the business. So if you could represent that to the people you talk to, Bonnie mentioned this to me the other day, that the people coming heard definitely didn't understand that distinction. And so there's a whole lot of angst out there when maybe there doesn't need to be. So if you could just do that, that would be great. The survey, I would be concerned about the way surveys have been pirated and piled on, and the fact that it's such a complex thing, it would be hard to reduce to clear, actionable questions.
I would love to have a map of the area that's the unlimited residence.
It's on the city website.
Okay, okay, I hadn't looked,
Yeah, I was gonna.
but I do want. Because I've also been asked, well, what's outside of, I'm like, so, yeah.
So this isn't-
Passionate topic.
My takeaway is this isn't Armageddon. It's not gonna, this, whatever we do is not gonna destroy the economy of the town, because we've got a base of 6,000 to 7,000 dwelling units around us, and you're just a, 1.25 square mile out of that, 140 square miles actually. So, residents are begging for some relief and some, limit on the way that they see the town spiraling out of control on short-term rentals. So we're considering this kind of modest plan that almost, majority of other cities have kind of arrived at independently. So, all right, so be of good cheer, be positive, don't get dragged down, and now
Thank you for your work.
you're deeper in it than many people are. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, that's helpful.
So next item is, we were approached, as you all know, we had the live stream through the Hallmark channel through the month of December. The company approached Bonnie, and Bonnie approached us for some input and feedback on what we thought about, they would like to continue a year-round live stream. And so before we, I guess, take the idea to the public, we wanted some feedback, even just what, as far as, what the downtown was feeling about something like that.
Well, my first thought on that is, we just had a conversation about our town being inundated with visitors. Part of that, I feel, is we've gotten some amazing press over the last, take it back 6, 7, 10 years. We're winning, awards and magazines. We've got people coming to the New York and the Pier and then doing magazine write-ups. And people, there was 5,000 people that were interested in that tour last year that was created as an event on Facebook. So with as much as, I think it's amazing to continue to market and to get people to come to our town. If that's the problem that people are having, that people want to come to our town, then do we want to do anything that's going to continue to make people want to visit? I think it would be amazing, but if that's a big issue with where we are at right now.
Don't you think though that we hit a point in the summer where we're swelling,
But that was
like there's a pulse.
exactly what was just said.
Yeah.
So, mean,
And we are, and we swell, but in the shoulder season.
Well, I don't feel like we really have.
our shoulder seasons,
season
I
doesn't
think have
exist anymore.
shortened. I mean, I mean, from
it
back
like-
in
It
the,
like falls off the cliff.
No,
not really,
not
no.
really, not
I
until.
mean,
for
maybe
me,
January,
Yeah, not until January for me.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, and then the
but
deeper
it
the
used
winter.
to
used to
be
be
September. And I think it's kind of gotten, where September and October and
Which is
November
great, I
just
mean.
aren't slow anymore, which is amazing. And I think we may have like a January, February slowdown. It starts to pick up in March because people come when, before the craziness happens, which is great. April, we've definitely started to see a pickup. I think this is, the Hallmark thing was super cool. People thought it was great.
My one thought is, the first thing I thought of was the whole bomb in the Christmas tree fiasco.
Yeah.
That was my first thought on it, and don't we already have a webcam?
We do.
Well,
We have-
like at least not multiple, I mean, I know Tasha has multiple, so.
There are several webcams.
So I guess what would the difference be?
Well, there are several throughout town that just like if you click on, and that's what happened with the ones here. This is that they're actually, it's like, they're actually sending out on a feed from different locations, what I understand, all over the world. That like, and it's instead of like you're just going on to Harbor Springs website, or you're going on to such and such business's website that has a webcam that's going and doing a live stream. This is like, oh, I'm gonna go onto this EarthCam website and look at what's happening all over the world, which is a little different than like choosing to come and specifically look at what's happening in Harbor Springs. I guess, am I trying to say that?
That's actually like a website, like it's like you can go on EarthCam and you can see them all over the world.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you want to see the ones from the church, you have to go to Holy Childhood, but I think the EarthCam actually may have the ones from the church on there.
I mean,
I guess I mean, we,
in my mind, I mean, a lot of my visitors I get in summertime, from what I've experienced in the past 2 years, is enough people who are staying in Petoskey coming over here for day trips, so. I mean, would be for it. I don't see any problem with
No, I
doing
think
anything
it's
like
a
that.
great
I think it's a
idea.
great idea. I mean, I think that we do want visitors, we always talk about the breakdown of who we rely on, whether it's, the resorters, the seasonal renters, the longer term, the short term, and the day visitors. I mean, all those people we rely on. So I don't see a problem with it. I mean, I don't think and sometimes it's, how much of it is actually gonna generate full interest in coming here, or is it just gonna view the area and I mean, I think I'd be very interested to know like how that breakdown, like, I mean, I know it's really,
I think it's
but it's just be a
interesting.
very interesting thing to figure out how many people, because like how many places do you see on social media or on the internet that you're like, oh, that's a really beautiful place. I'd love to go there sometime, but I live on the other side of the world. Which, I mean, I just pulled up EarthCam, and the top trending one was Spain. So there's like all these, different places on it that were right at the top, so.
Oh, yeah, the company reached out to me, EarthCam reached out to me, and I mean, I think it's an honor. It's a really cool honor but there's definitely the one thing that you all need to know. There were a few people, and I know that there was some negative feedback against the chamber, against me with the Hallmark channel of protecting people's rights and their facial recognition and things like that. There were comments like that came, believe me. But I want you all to know those were comments that came out of the Hallmark channel thing. And this is in some ways bigger, right? It's a lot bigger, and the Hallmark channel was kind of hard to find the site unless you had the link. This, you go to EarthCam, you type in Harbor Springs, boom, you get it. So, I mean, there's definitely, as with everything, there are some people out there who would not like this at all. I don't really have a dog in the fight, other than I've been the liaison with them. I think it's cool. And I've been reached out to, by the way, by others, a couple of guys who are bloggers who found our Christmas tree on the Holy Childhood site a year ago, and they had me go on their talk with them. and talk about Harbor Springs and so I mean, like, these things are happening all the time. And just people don't always know about it either.
I think you
So,
have a dog in the fight
like, I
Because-
do, and
because you're promoting business. That is your,
yes, yes. And of course, I always promote our downtown.
So, for example, Grand
Always two
Haven,
sides.
Grand Haven has one, and it's just looking out over the water. Facial recognition, I don't really know how many people.
And they
want to be able to see, look at it
Right now,
They're saying that that's what theirs is, and I mean, Gaylord has one.
right.
It's just interesting to see what, it's not necessarily the main street. I don't know what they reached out to you and wanted. Was it the main
They
street?
would leave it just the way it is now.
Okay.
That, yeah, the camera wouldn't move. I guess unless people made a request for the camera to move and be somewhere.
I think this is the long-term fight of, we moved here to retire and be in a quiet, quaint town. And versus the other side of,
I know, our businesses can't.
I own and
our
operate,
businesses without-
I own and operate a business here.
Yeah.
And there is that kind of long term.
I mean, I think it's a great idea. I mean, people were talking about the Hallmark Channel thing quite a bit.
Oh my
during their
gosh,
time.
the social media. that
Well,
between
anything
chambers
marketing and
posting-
social media
Does
is
it-
huge.
Yeah, so the one on top of Holy Childhood, you really can't see anything because it's going down the whole street, right? So it's harder to distinguish cars, you can't see license plates. This one is, you can see people, you can read license plates, and I don't know if that's an impact at all, Kyle, and it's nice when it's Christmas and there's something to see, but other than that, it's a street with a church at the end of it for me, so I don't, I'm just wondering about if that really has any difference in that I can see where people would say, I go into Birch Tree every day and someone can follow me and see my, just because the world is not sometimes a good place. But that would be the one thing that particular camera can be very specific. You look at the one at the Lyric Theater and right now all they're showing is the front of the hot company building. It's like, why does Scott have that one? I'm not sure about that one, but it just, I mean,
Before the building, it was at the bay.
yeah. I mean, that's what it's that. So I'm just wondering if that does have, because it is specific and you can see and you can read license plates and see people's cars. And I don't know if that people would say, I'm concerned about that. That would be the one thing other than that.
Yeah,
So.
well, yeah. And this would have to go to the city for the city to decide. And I mean, and I could even ask them, would they be willing to put the camera somewhere else? I do think that part of it is that it's the easy button right now.
Right.
It's there, all the installation's been paid for, et cetera, but.
Of the comments that you received, because I was just looking at obviously the views on YouTube and so forth. And there were 309 comments, 309 comments of 60,000 people. Were how many comments did you get, and were they all pretty much like, we don't want people looking in our backyard? Looking in our window?
Some of it you don't always know, because as we know on Facebook, if I'm not friends with somebody and they have something like that, I just hear about a conversation that happened. And so that happened a few times. But that is the comment is protection of facial recognition. And I mean, and a couple of people called Victor and went at him with what's the city gonna do to protect people and their rights?
We have Kyle.
Superman, we all know.
If you want to go into that, I mean, don't go anywhere.
Oh,
Don't go
that
to
was
any grocery store, don't go anywhere.
That was my,
Yeah.
what about all the other cameras nobody knows about? I know, it's a silly argument, but,
Yeah.
yeah, and you're right. I mean, I do have a dog in the fight in the sense that, yes, I'm here to promote the businesses, but I also.
Want to protect the community and
Yeah.
look out for
Sure.
kind of everyone
Yeah,
else's.
Well, and it only promotes the businesses, never mind.
It's sort of right there, but then you could also get into, if you bring people to the area, they're still gonna trickle
No,
out. They're
no,
gonna go to
yes,
Picasso.
I get
They're
it.
gonna, right?
Yeah.
They're not all gonna just walk up and down.
Yeah, I
drive
wouldn't-
up in the streets.
I wouldn't have a problem with this going in front of the city to let them make the final decision. I
Yeah,
think it would
yeah.
be,
I would
I think
either.
it-
I would-
What other
no,
I would
question
support-
should I take back to the company? As I take some notes, what else? Mayor, what else should I ask?
I think where the camera. and
They
everything
covered, they
is
covered a
fine.
lot, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
they worked with the law enforcement and then that they would have a kill switch in the event of something like that happened with the Christmas tree.
We pointedly asked them that question and brought up the, sorry, the bomb threat.
So if we
Can
say
you turn the camera on?
no, does it just get turned on again next year for the Christmas tree or
Not
what?
necessarily, no.
On their website right now, but it's off. You click on it.
Who,
No,
so,
I think it would get taken down. If the answer is no, I think it would get taken down. I don't know Hallmark Channel's future thoughts.
I think for a few, I think for a few complaints, actually, I heard nothing positive. I had friends sending me the link, sending me like, you're on the
Yeah.
Hallmark Channel, and I'm like, yeah, that's all we're talking about in town here.
No, and it's cool. And I invited them to town for the tree lighting. I was like, if you guys are gonna do this, come to the tree lighting and actually show it.
I'm gonna ask Gail, what's your, I mean, as a newly retired, you're now here full-time. What's your thought on
That
just like a webcam in general?
it doesn't bother me at all. I think, and it's interesting, and I love just listening, and so the kind of being quiet because I'm trying to gain a little bit of history and bring forward. I think that Jody, you were right. We need to drive business in the CBD. That we need to keep our stores open. We need to keep our staffs working, our owners working, et cetera. And if that is a driver, and how many people out of, you said 300, whatever, how many people really complain? I mean, how many, I don't even think in those terms, so.
It's 3 or 4, right?
Right, and that's probably it.
The traditional squeak wheels.
Right, so there'll always be those squeaky wheels. And when you put it in that perspective, 3 or 4 people out of how many,
Mhm.
someone's gonna complain about something all the time.
So there's no kind of, there's nothing. No laws as far as like video cameras and
They have,
stores
in
and.
large cities, they have cameras the municipality has cameras everywhere. You go to any, I don't care what big city, there's cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
So if you think just about the Christmas season, how many days was that for? Wasn't it a month? So for 30 days,
I think it's a great idea anyway.
it's
to keep
60,000
people.
views. If it was up there all the time, how many people would view it? We got 1% of the people to just visit our town. And of that 1%, like Kathy and I always talk about. Who's gonna come back every year? And then take it another step, who might actually buy a house here? And then who might actually open a business here? And then you've got another member of the community. Okay. Do we need any kind of, no,
We're just looking for feedback as we go forward with this idea.
I think it'd be great. I mean, I would personally, not as DDA, just encourage the city council to do it.
It's free advertising, basically.
I agree.
Yeah, no, it is great. All right, well, when Victor and I spoke, the discussion was it would have to go to council, and then he and I both were like, let's have DDA give us some
And when
thoughts.
he and I spoke, we figured it was gonna be,
Okay,
it was gonna be the mixed bag of responses that, the town usually, that the community usually has, so, I mean,
I think it would be
we're-
interesting. I think you would get a mixed bag in the town as a whole. I think if you went to business owners and
I think
operators.
it's more in favor. with
Oh,
businesses.
I can't imagine why a business wouldn't want to be. They'd be silly to think that it would.
Okay, great.
Okay.
all right, thank you, everybody.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
If you can do it now.
No, go ahead. Director update?
Director update, just the only thing is our financial update. Well, okay. Actually, let me do that. The first thing is that we are still working with the city attorney just to pursue what options we have with the county. Hopefully, we're gonna have some real answers in the short term here and that we can put this to rest. So we are moving forward with that. So I did want to let you know, Victor and I will be meeting with the county administrator this week. Just talking about the issue. So that's just kind of, we'll see what happens there. The special assessment was passed at the December 19, 2022 meeting from city council. So we're moving forward with the special assessment. That was passed for the also. And speaking with Jeff Grimm, our projections for 2023 on the DDA capture should be significantly higher than what we were capturing this year. So we're moving in a positive direction. Our financial update from as the end of the year. We brought in 62. Remember the tax rolls bring in the special assessment. All of that was not in then, but it will be around 70,000 for the TIF capture, and then the somewhere between 60 and 70 by the time we're done. And then the special assessment has come in. The only real changes that we've had have been in wages. And then the contractual services, you can see the 3,845. Jody, that answers your question as far as that would be benchmarks work on the surveys and the Merchants Walkway, the Ice Fest. Downtown projects again was the lighting project that we did. And then the legal fees have been increased, and they will increase as we are working with the city attorney on the TIF capture. So
There's no, what's under wayfinding, wouldn't those have been the new signs that were put up?
yeah, and he may have, Nick may have put them under a different, maybe under like downtown projects instead of, we may need to just adjust where that account he put it in. He may have put the wayfinding under it for his accounting downtown projects.
Unfortunately, it's always a floating number because of when bills are paid. and-
Right, yeah, no.
Yeah,
But in the summer.
that would make sense if you look at the figure in downtown projects.
I keep thinking about the wayfinding sign right at the corner by the light. It should be turned.
The restrooms look like they're pointing the wrong way.
No, it looks like, no, with all the signage.
Oh, yeah.
Signage with the kiosk. You can't see the other side because it's the hedge is right there. It should be turned 90 degrees. Every time we go to the post office, like, that should be, so you can see, you can look at both sides of the sign. Right now, you can't read the other side of it because the hedge is there.
Well,
So-
could you move it?
Yeah. Anyway, it's just, I keep thinking that, turn it 90 degrees.
Yeah, I think the reason when that was put there was because
Chamber.
you'd have people standing aside it, on the side of it, and there were some flowers there and
Right.
they're gone. But I think we should look at that. That
Yeah.
would be.
Or get change a little bit, it's like, yeah, because you
You're
can't,
right.
Yeah.
You see people standing in front of that one all the time. And she's right, the one down by, at the end of the corner by W where in Bryan, people stand on both sides all the time and look.
Yeah.
you just can't get to the other side
As we
You're right.
or have it be blank.
As we come out of Ice Fest, we need to be moving right into redoing the directory. So if you know of any businesses that are changing over or anything like that, please email them to me because I tend to be the last person to hear about it.
Does she want to
We
go to the minute?
Chat, Marga.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we are.
She needs to be right.
So Kathy, remember the first year of the DDA when it came back out of dormancy?
Yeah.
What was the budget? Like 18,000?
Yeah, so we're doing well.
That was a weird
Um,
conversation.
Okay. Other business.
Oh, I just, at the RRC meeting, Victor on vacation started typing out like an orientation packet for people on people that are new on committees, council on commissions, boards. And I think he's done a real bang up job on it. But if anyone's interested, I'm sure it'll be a topic at the next RRC before it. That's not completed. I didn't think so. Yeah, there's just a few things in there that need to be like literally, legalities as far as making motions and all that kind of stuff for people that are unaware. And I think it's very good and very necessary. And finding out some other legal things as you look through it as well. So I think it's definitely needed. I'm sure a lot of people have sat on a board or committee and just been thrown in a seat and not really know what they're. So I would encourage you read the minutes of the DDA, and for all I know, you were zooming and watching in on what was going on here.
I'm sorry, I keep a file.
I think.
But you're
you
right,
sound
it
like-
is hard when you're new. It's like, I'll just sit here quietly.
Absolutely.
Listen.
The only other thing is we have finalized the DDA meeting schedule. I will send it out to all of you, but it is the second Wednesday of every month. And we talked about that, and then we now put it up on the website. So that as long as everybody's still good with that, continue to meet 8:30 a.m. the second Wednesday of the month.
Any other public comment? Public comment again? Public? Good. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Anybody day. We're adjourned. Welcome, Gail, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Looking
Thanks for
forward
being
to it.
interested. And thanks for going about it the right way.
So basically, all of our.
What? Who does that?
I know.